Hello, everyone. It's Father Norm. It's Tuesday, July 22nd. For me, you may be seeing this at a later date. The reason I bring that up is today, within the Catholic Christian tradition and some other Christian traditions, we celebrate the feast of St. Mary Magdalene. Now, just asking you, think about it for a moment. What's your image, or what do you know about Mary Magdalene? Uh, Saying that, many people have told me through the years, oh, wasn't she that prostitute that Jesus forgave, and then she became a follower of Jesus? In fact, probably one play that a lot of people have seen over the last 40, 50 years is Jesus Christ Superstar. And that's exactly how it's interpreted there, that she had been a fallen woman, that Jesus reached out to her and forgave her. There have also been various preachings through the years making that same point. Absolutely, we realize now that's incorrect. What happened a number of centuries ago, actually with Pope Gregory, there was a looking at the Marys in the Bible, and there was some confusion. There was a Mary, not Mary Magdalene, who had been a fallen woman and who came to Jesus, and she anointed his feet with oil and washed him, and she was the fallen woman. And a lot of people thought right away, oh, that's Mary Magdalene, because her name was Mary. Mary was a popular name. Mary was the mother of Jesus. Mary was the sister of Martha and Lazarus. And this Mary Magdalene, the emphasis we have today, and where they got it correct, if any of you are watching the wonderful series The Chosen, if you're not watching it, you should be. It shows Mary Magdalene there from the very beginning, being healed of a demon. That's what was going on in her life. Whatever that was, it had nothing to do with prostitution. And then following Jesus. And a lot of people don't even realize that Jesus had the 12 disciples. We know them all by name. And there were various women who were following him too. And Mary Magdalene was one of those. Now, talking about Mary Magdalene herself, here's another mistaken notion that people would have from some popular movies, even in our day. Some have said, oh, they saw this movie one time, and Mary Magdalene and Jesus were great lovers. Either they were married and loved each other, or even if not, because Jesus was single, and they had some sort of intimate romantic relationship. Nothing of that is in Scripture. What happens, the reason it comes out, and this is important for our day, not only for Mary Magdalene, but for us, that people in our day look at them and say, well, they were great friends, and they were. She followed him along with the disciples, and she was the first one to experience Jesus as risen from the dead. And that's mentioned in all four Gospels. And in one of the Gospels, it also mentions that then Jesus told her to go tell the disciples, the apostles. And so she's been named by that an apostle to the apostles, because it wasn't Peter, James, and John and the others who saw him first. It was Mary. And Jesus told her, Mary, now you go to the others, which was pretty radical in its day, because in Jesus' day, women could not be witnesses in a trial. Their testimony was not considered valid. It was a very patriarchal culture, and so that was the way it was. And here Jesus is telling Mary, who a lot of times people say, well, Mary, or any woman, doesn't have that credibility, but he tells Mary because he's not caught up in the cultural norms of the day, but in the real circumstance. Mary had been a good friend, and Mary would go to the others. And initially, in a couple of the Gospels, it says the men weren't ready to believe her. Again, they weren't sure about a woman's testimony, but they found out it to be true. Another point, because they were very close friends, as I mentioned before, sometimes people in our day think, well, they had to be sexually involved. No, this is something for us to keep in mind. A man and a woman can have a deep friendship, and it doesn't have to automatically be romantic. It doesn't have to automatically be sexualized. That is so much of our culture. We need to see, looking at that for us today, that friendship between a man and a woman, grounded in faith, grounded in love, grounded in wholesomeness, can be a beautiful reality. And that's important. Friendship doesn't have to be, when we think of, well, when we use the word love, right away we often think of romantic love. That's one love. But the deepest love Jesus called for was an other-centered love that reached out and did good for others and made a difference in their life, even if it inconvenienced them. It's that kind of love. We need to live in a world today in which we see the beauty of friendship, all friendship, including the beautiful example of Mary and Jesus, a friendship of a man and a woman that can run very deep, that can help each other to experience even more deeply God's love, and then can be a beautiful witness to others. Finally, in saying this, when I talk to some of my friends who are married, and that is a romantic love, but what they have often said to me through the years, obviously, they were physically attracted to each other as they got married, and that was beautiful. But through the years, they have told me, many people, you know, what's kept our marriage going for 40, 50, 60 years is because from the very beginning, we were best friends. Or if from the very beginning it was all physical, sooner than later, we moved to see the deepest. That's beautiful in marriage, but the deepest part is that friendship. Friendship is the greatest gift of all, for any and for all of us. Jesus said, I call you friends, and he wants us to call each other friends and see, and I know that in my personal life as a celibate priest, the gift of friends is the greatest gift I received from the Lord from other human beings. And so for us too, experience friendship as sacred, as beautiful, whether you're married or single or whatever, the deepest reality is to be each other's friend. And in marriage, many telling me to be each other's best friend. Thank you for listening. Pass this word on. God bless you.